Thanks for tuning into another episode of the Colorful Kid podcast. We're recording this right after Mexico beat the U.S. 2-1 to win the 2025 Gold Cup. They complete the CONCACAF double this summer, winning the Nations League against Panama earlier this year and the Gold Cup tonight. Nayib Moran joins us. What are your immediate impressions of the game tonight?
Well, first of all, thanks for the invite, Raul. Always great chatting with you. I hope everything is going well over there in Chicago. I think it's good. No, that they won. I think it's been a nice couple of weeks for Mexican football when you consider what Rayados did in the Club World Cup in terms of showcasing Mexican football on the world stage. I think that was pretty special. I know that there's a heavy foreign component with Rayados, but still Tecatito was lights out against Dortmund, and I think that was good for us. General with this win, it was a difficult one for Vasco. More than a month with the team. In concentration, in the camp, I was at Juntos. So it was important to finish it in a good style, in good form, no? And I think it speaks volumes that, for once, El Tri wins a game against the U.S. because of set piece play, no? Which technically it used to be the other way around. We would lose against the U.S. because they would score off a set piece. And it almost felt like that early on in the game. But I think that in general terms, I think he's nailing already the 11 for the World Cup. I mean, it's pretty close. It might be two or three still spots available, but the backbone of it is already there. No?
Going into the summer, that's all I really cared about. Yes, I wanted to win the World Gold Cup. You always want to win, but if Mexico would have lost today, I would have been okay with it. If he would have played this lineup, I would not have been happy if Mexico would have won, but they would have given all the minutes to guys over 30, that
Yeah.
type of thing. I would have not have been happy. I wouldn't have cared for the win as much, but
Mm-hmm.
I like to look at in SofaScore, they have like the average age of the starting 11. For once, Mexico was within a year of the United States.
Oh, that's a step in the right direction. I think Gilberto Mora does.
Gilberto and then no memo definitely affects that, but
Yeah.
still, like, usually it's like Mexico is like 3-4 years older than the US, like, about, average age, so it's kinda crazy, but it's this is I would say this is the generational change
Mm-hmm.
that honestly should have happened in 2023,
Yeah.
but Jimmy had to win the Gold Cup to keep a job basically, so they went all in there. But yeah, I'm like you said, this whole summer was about finding the spine. I mean, just kinda going through the lineup, we have Malagon. I don't think he's a lock. I don't know. I don't know how your thoughts on him. I mean, well, real quickly, I have no confidence in him. He did come up big in the 92nd minute on that save, but when he leaves the 6-yard box, I have no
I
confidence.
mean, a lot will have to do with what happens with Ochoa, or where he plays, and it comes again, sort of what happened in 2010 when he was in the World Cup. Vasco was in the World Cup. At the last minute, he gave the spot to Conejo Perez.
Never forget that shit.
Yeah, and of course Ochoa will never forget it, but it could happen the other way around now. No, Ochoa will be the the Conejo Perez of this chapter. I think a lot will depend on where he goes, no, and if he plays and what's the situation. But I think Malagon, based on his moment right now, it looks like he's a starter. No,
So you have Malagon, which is essentially a starter. I mean, not entrenched, he could lose it, but he's essentially the starter.
nah,
You got Montes and Vasquez in front of him. Those guys are the starters.
it's
Bearing
locks.
injuries or any of that stuff, those are the starters. Sanchez and Gallardo, I don't know. Like you said, it's gonna be what moment they're in, but he
I
has at
liked
least
Mateo. Mateo Chavez was a good player. His crossing was on point. And, I'm excited because right now he's going to go to Europe and he's going to grow. And that's what we want to see from those players. And, the case of the Tiloncito is that he's a son of a former footballer, no? So it's like,
so is
he's
Mora.
not going to, so is Mora. So they're not going to commit the same damn mistakes as their fathers, no? And I think Tiloncito's dad, I remember him in Chivas many, many seasons, no? I think he was coached by Tuca Ferretti at one point. And so, this guy knows what it takes to be a professional, no? And so to see him, basically feasted, and that left flank as a left back was good news for Mexico.
And defense, you need options, so it's always good to be too deep.
Yeah.
Sanchez, I didn't like him starting, and I really
It was,
didn't like Araujo not even being on the bench.
yeah, which is,
He
it
started the
was,
2 knockout games, which doesn't make sense, but, like, hey, he's trying different players. Okay, Sanchez,
he won the Gold Cup too. So it's
yeah.
like, okay.
Sanchez didn't shit the bed. Okay. Yeah, you at least have Sanchez and Araujo as
And then
options,
Huescas too.
and Huescas. So you have
And
3
I
good
feel
options.
Huescas
Yeah.
is really good.
And then Gallardo, you got, on the left, you got Chavez, and then Arteaga, you have him, he's there. I don't know if he's gonna bubble up, but,
Yeah, but he's
you know,
there.
he's there. And
Yeah,
then worst comes to worst, you have Johan, you can put him there in a pinch or in a back in a three-man back line. Vasquez can play on the left. Okay.
yeah. And then you got
Mora,
Israel Reyes who can play basically center
yes.
back and right back, as
I
he
don't
did
like
today.
Israel Reyes as a fullback if you want your fullbacks to provide attacking. That's not his game. But in the World Cup, if you're playing against a team where you know you're gonna defend more, he makes sense.
Yeah.
He's safe, and he gives you more, positional flexibility. He can slide over to center back if someone gets hurt or something. He plays 2
He
positions.
played defensive mid for Larcamon's Puebla as well, which kind of gets hidden a little bit in the
Yeah,
curriculum, but he did excellent as a defensive mid as well.
and you need those players that play multiple positions.
Yeah,
So, and then the midfield 3, Mora, Alvarez, Ruiz. I think if the World Cup started tomorrow, that's who you start.
yeah.
I know I like Elias Montiel. I think he still has time to make the squad. Being away from the team for this month kind of, I think, hurts his chances of kind of getting. He could have been Mora very easily. He could have taken the minutes Mora had
Hmm.
this summer, But
I
I
mean,
think
but he
those
scored
3.
against Real Madrid, which
Yeah,
at the end
yeah,
of the day, it's nice, and
it's
he actually got props from Florentino Perez, which is
yeah,
not bad.
and that's good for your club career. But I don't think, like you were saying, it's very special to be with your national team for a month. It's very rare.
It is rare. It is rare,
So
and especially a year before the World Cup, and I think the players during their press conferences and various interviews out there mentioned the idea of like playing at home, no, and how and that's what Vasco has been sort of drilling in their heads is like you're playing a World Cup in your home country, which is not something to take for granted, no, and I think winning helps, as they did with the Nations League and this Gold Cup, but also convincing them that they'll have an advantage. No, they'll be a 12th player in this World Cup, which technically there is always a 12th player in World Cups for Mexico. People go to Qatar and Russia.
yeah,
I mean, we've seen it.
yeah.
But it's special to be home and to play a World Cup. And Vasco lived it as a player, and now he's gonna live it as a coach.
So yeah, those 3 guys I think going into 2026 are the prime position. And let's be honest, out of those 3, before the summer started, I would tell you Edson was gonna make the World Cup roster. I didn't think Mora was gonna have a chance. I thought he was gonna be too young. I was hoping Ruiz would play, but, he did not play, so
Yeah, no, I think Marcel won his role in the national team against Turkey. What he showed in that game, competitive game in North Carolina, I think it was pretty important for his confidence and also for Vasco to realize, you got this player right here. So it's a matter of taking advantage of, I personally think that when you look at the Toluca players that just recently won the league, Marcel is the one that stood out. He stood out more than Vega, more than Gallardo. And technically he's the young one, no? So I think it's pretty remarkable that he's there and he did pretty well.
and he was a player that maybe for the last 6, 9 months, we were all saying, like, "Should play more?"
Finally.
I know, finally, it's a little nervous, like, is he gonna play? Is he not gonna play? And it's funny because you say he's the quote unquote "young one." He turns 25 in a couple months.
Yeah.
That's 9 years older than Gilberto Mora. Just think about that for 1 second. Everyone who's listening, just think about what you were doing when you were 16 years old.
Yeah.
I saw, one of the accounts tweeted out that Mora is the youngest player ever to start for a confederation final, or final in a confederation for your country.
So that's like younger than Lamin
He
when
beat
he
him
started.
by 2 months.
Now that's special, bro.
That's special, and I'm not comparing the 2. I'm just saying, like,
He broke the record.
he broke the record, and that's still crazy, and not even like he played, he started. He went 75 strong minutes, and I think he would have played more. I don't think he was supposed to come out, but it sounded like from the announcers were saying and kinda like what he was talking to Vasco, he was grabbing at his heel,
Yeah.
like, kinda saying like, "Oh, it's something was bothering him." I didn't see him call for the sub, but the announcers said, like, it had been bothering him for a little bit, and so did the, TUDN sideline reporter said something like, "Oh, he's coming out because of an injury."
Well, hopefully it's not a serious one, right? Now maybe it was
I don't It
just
doesn't look serious.
precautionary one, no?
Yeah, but that's 'Cause I was thinking, "Why are you taking him out?" But that kind of explains it a little bit. And then, up top, we're not doing the Jimenez and Jimenez anymore, we're doing just Raul. I think Vega played well. He's coming off the best season of his career with
Yeah.
Toluca. Alvarado played well. I don't know, I think he's until someone steps up and takes it, I guess I'm okay with Alvarado playing.
There's a lot of, what I noticed today with Vega and Alvarado is their collaboration in the set piece play. They're like these compadres that have, they're basically compadres, no? And so they take that very seriously. It's like they perfect that sort of job that they have in the team, and they take it very serious. I mean, if you think about it, the two free kick takers or corner kick takers are Vega and Alvarado, and in this particular tournament, there was a very significant amount of goals off of free kicks or corner kicks, and it has to do with the execution of the play from Alvarado and Vega. So that gives them sort of like a responsibility. That's their job. Of course, they got to do a little bit more. I feel like Alvarado today, for example, had plenty of opportunities in the game to be more
Assertive.
precise.
Yeah. When he finally took that shot early in the second half, I was like, "Okay, finally." It seemed like the only player who was willing to shoot outside the
Was
box
more
was Mora.
he's a
But, like,
16-year-old.
yeah, the 16-year-old, the baby, you know? But when he took that shot, I was like, "Okay, good. He's getting more in the game. He's hitting because it's not that I know it's a low percentage shot, but you don't know what's gonna happen. A deflection, a
Exactly.
bad bounce, you got Raul in the box for the rebound, like, you don't know. So if you have an open shot, rip it. And another thing when you rip those open shots is those attackers push up on you, and that's when you have the give and go with Raul, things like that.
And you got to test the goalkeeper. I mean, it's
Yeah.
not like Freeze is freaking Van der Sar. Freeze is a goalkeeper in MLS that barely is kind of getting recognition, no, with New York City.
So, yeah, so those I mean, yeah, Jimenez, God willing, health-wise, he's gonna be starting he's number 9.
Yeah.
The wings, I'm okay with those guys starting game 1 next year, but at the same time, if other options pop up, okay, Huerta, if he balls out, if he
Yeah.
goes to Sevilla or what's the Spanish club that has been tied to him for like a year?
Girona, no?
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe.
So, there's other options on the wing, but
Don't eliminate the option of Santi and Raul starting in the World Cup. I think it's
I'm
still
not eliminating,
possible.
but at least
And
my
the reason
biggest
the
go
reason
ahead.
I tell you that, Raul, is because the pressing triggers with Santi and the team is pretty impeccable. I mean, the guy runs all over the place. Today he broke his finger. He was all over the place and running. No? So it tells you a little bit about how the mentality he knows the pressing triggers pretty well and doesn't care. And I think you need that against a side that might be more tactically savvy, no, than this US side.
I'm just happy because one of my biggest gripes with Tata was he knew how to play one style with this Mexican national team, one style only. And once Raul got hurt, they didn't
Boom.
know what to do.
Yeah, it
At
was all
least
over the
now
place.
with Vasco, they have a couple different tools to pull out. I'm surprised that we didn't see him playing a back five at some point this summer just to see,
Yeah.
just to test it out. But or I guess we kind of play. I mean, when we play two strikers up top, it kind of morphs into that a little bit. But
Yeah, and Edson also tracks back a little bit, not always, but I think today, for example, was very interesting in the first half how Johan Vasquez carried the ball pretty high. There was like a one play I think that he was almost in there. So, those are little tactical nuances that still need to be developed, and they need more competitive games, I would say. No, there's rumors that Colombia might be an opponent soon. I think the Asian teams, Korea,
I think that's
Japan.
confirmed for September.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
and I think there's
on the
another
West
South
Coast.
American that might be a possibility towards the end of the year. Then there's a chance that they go to Europe and maybe they play African teams in Europe. So let it be, for example, Morocco or Senegal would be
Yeah,
great, great, great games to prepare for this for the World Cup.
yep. But yeah, like I'm just happy. There's different styles of play. We can throw on the two Jimenezes, and we know how to play.
You
We
can
can
throw
put
in Julian, and he did play one game. I mean,
yeah,
let it be that
yeah,
he was present, no, and
yeah.
maybe he wasn't used as a lot, but he did get his minutes in the
And it seems
tournament.
like we have a system. Like, it doesn't matter I mean, it does matter, but you know what I mean? Like, you could put a player in, and he knows his role at least.
Yeah. And
No one
there seems to be no drama in the team as well, no, which technically usually is the case,
that's honestly, a lot of that has to do with Vasco
and Rafa.
and Rafa. Very well respected. Like you said, the players always I've heard it in interviews a lot of times, especially from Santi Jimenez saying, "Hey, we're a family.
Yeah.
This is our family now, blah, blah, blah." And Vasco and I read about this in an interview from a friend of the pod, John Arnold. He had a good article kind of talking about Vasco as like the abuelito of the
Yeah,
group.
yeah, yeah.
And he's doing this for his legacy, whereas Pochettino, it's a job.
Yeah, no,
You know what I mean?
no.
And I'm not disparaging Pochettino or anyone who comes coaches the national team, but there's I hate to say it, there's a reason no foreign coach has won the World Cup, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It's just a little different when it's your country.
Yeah, no, and that's why it makes it so interesting the case in Brazil with Ancelotti. It's like Ancelotti, with all this pedigree, he's immersed in this scenario where could it actually work? No,
And when
when
was the last
it's
time Brazil had a high profile coach?
whew, well, you can maybe say Scolari, because Scolari got train wrecked in 2014 by
Yeah,
Germany.
yeah. He's a manager who won't get bullied by the Brazilian press, by all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
No.
he's untouchable right now.
Yeah. And similar to Vasco, Vasco doesn't care.
No,
And I mean that with all due respect. Not that he doesn't care. He cares, but he doesn't care that the press is calling for his head. He's here until the World Cup and he's not trying to get another contract. He's kind of like,
yeah.
I'm doing this service to my country. That's kind of what the way he's looking at it.
I mean, and he's been pretty lucky as well. No, it's 3 World Cups already. No, that it's easy to say it, but, it's what, since 2002, 2010, and now 2025, 26. Oh, so it's been a lot.
And did he get the full cycle in 2002 or did he
Nah,
come in halfway?
firefighter.
Okay. So this is his longest stint with the national. I mean, maybe not. At least it's planned, you know?
And no, and then what's really cool right now is there's no qualifiers.
Yeah.
So he's in. So it's a little bit, it gives him this opportunity that he had so far this year, no, to sort of hone in the team, a little bit. Because, for example, Gilberto Mora became a reality when they went to South America, and they played against the Brazilian team and River Plate. That's when it became real. That I was like, oh shoot, this kid can actually play. And now in the Gold Cup, he debuted him in the knockout rounds, which is even
Yeah.
crazier when you think
Not
about
a
it. It's like
friendly,
not a friendly, not a group stage game.
not against Suriname.
It was a knockout round, so
Yeah.
it's pretty special. That
Well, just to kind of put a bow on the game here, what are your thoughts on the game? How it went? I mean, we talked a little bit before we started recording, but USA third, fourth minute goal on a set piece that we have historically struggled on.
yeah.
But from the fourth minute on, it just seemed like the US was kind of like out of gas. This is the same starting 11 for the third straight game. And again, Pochettino has not been quick to make subs either. So it kind of seemed like as the game went on, they just kind of lost.
I think the game itself for the US is summarized in Tyler Adams', attitude on the field and off the field. When he came off, he looked like he wanted to break everything. No, there was a lot of the sensation of not being good enough. No, and I think for Tyler, because he's been involved in this sort of project that includes Weston and Christian, it's a big blow because they seem to have lost all the ground that they had won already. They lost it in a couple of months. And so it's a very, very intricate situation. Like I told you, it's their problem. And now for Mexico, it's sort of like some sort of peace, and you have Vasco now has the right to sort of decide whether, for example, do you need Chucky? Well, Chucky improves the team that I have now, this family that I have now. That's another question to be asked, especially because I've read so much and heard about Tecatito. Yes, it was amazing performance in the Club World Cup. But just a couple of months ago, I mean, he looked awful. I mean, it was like, well, what is this doing in Liga MX? And so that's how soccer is sometimes. It just changes magically. But like I said, I mean, I think he's gonna be very, very intricate and very careful as to who he adds into this mix now. And see if there's potential that Chucky and Tegatito are not part of the World Cup roster, but just because of the abundance of games, they might have an opportunity to prove themselves with.
I think Chucky has a good chance of making it to the next call up in September.
No.
and he's done well, and I hate people say, "Oh, it's MLS." It's a competitive league, and I'm sorry, but we were the same national team that was praying Carlos Vela would join us when he was dominating in MLS, so you can't have it both ways.
No, and San Diego's one of the best teams in the
Yeah,
Western Conference. I mean, it's a team that really competes
and they
well
blew it
and
last night against your Houston Dynamo.
yeah, 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 which was really surprising. I mean, I saw the game, most of it, and I was surprised as to, how it turned out. And, I think there was some defensive issues, I would say, with San Diego, but Chucky came on and he looked pretty good,
And the way
and I
he
think
presses for that team is it's not the
as a
tricky. Yeah. Funny thing, like, San Diego signed their MVP, Dreyer,
mhm.
and that's who Chino Huerta replaced at Anderlecht.
Uh-huh. And he's doing pretty good. Dreyer
Yeah,
is a really good
yeah,
player.
yeah. I guess final thought here, go back the day before the Nations League started back in March to now.
Mhm.
What are the differences in how you feel about the national team? Like you said, it's less drama, but do you feel better?
I think that uh, he returned a sense of pride for the team, no, and I think the players now actually they like coming to the national team. There was a point with Tata and even with Coca that the players were like fed up.
It
Why
felt
do I
like a
have to show?
job. Yeah.
Exactly. And now I think there's this feeling of belonging that is very important. But I think at the end of the day, when you compare the situation and what can happen in the World Cup, I think it's important to look at the example that Monterrey just showed us. They took it to Dortmund, but there was just some things that Dortmund being this European side and with experienced players, the little details make the difference. And so I feel like Mexico in the World Cup, you'll see those little differences that will prevent for this magical ending that we all want to have. But I think at least there's going to be grit and fight and passion. And they're going to really take it to whoever plays against them. It's very important to note that they're going to be the home team. And for the most part, I would say. I don't know. It looks like they might come to the US until the semis or the quarterfinals, but
I think
before
every
that,
knockout game, if
yeah.
I'm not mistaken, every knockout game is in the US.
Okay, okay.
'Cause I think
So that's
there's
something
group
too.
games in Canada and group games in Mexico, but I think every knockout game
It's
is
in
in
the
the
U.
US and is in a big ass NFL stadium.
Okay, okay. So that's important to note as well. No? But anywhere, if El Tri plays in LA and Texas, even the East Coast, they'll have a good crowd. I think that's something to look and it's a 48 team, 48 right, 48 teams
So
now.
we
So it's like
can't even make it to the quinto partido, it's the 6th game, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. It has to be the
It
sixth
has
game
to be
now.
the 6th game now.
Yeah, yeah. So, I think that what I said after the Nations League is he won time to work stuff out, and now with the Gold Cup, he even wins more time. To sort of these friendlies that are coming up, he has the potential to call up players that he hasn't called up yet. And I think he won't really get that much criticism.
And if he does, he's not gonna give a shit.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, he's gonna be the coach in the World Cup. It's already set on.
On the US, before we just go off on them, Diego Luna, what are your thoughts on he got booed, I don't know if you were watching the game with the audio on, but when he got subbed out of the game, he got
Oh,
booed. So I thought
interesting.
that was interesting. I expected more from him tonight. I don't know if it was the fact that he had to play more defense than before, but
Yeah, I
he
mean,
was not in the game at all.
he's a player that needs the ball, and the ball wasn't in the U.S. The ball never came to them, so it was a difficult one for him. I think that he still showed some grit and some tackles and whatnot, but he is a special player in terms of the stuff that he showcases with when this team has possession of the ball. When they don't, I mean, he's pretty non-existent, but I think it's a nice story for the other stuff that's going bad for them. I think he's been sort of like the only positive piece of news.
Unfortunately, I think this is the version US is gonna get more often than not because when he plays with Pulisic is gonna get the ball.
Yeah.
It's not gonna be like, this was kind of Diego Luna's team, for better or worse. Like, he was running the attack, him and, Tillman. I don't think that's gonna be the case when they have the full team.
No, and look, the whole Pulisic with Pochettino doesn't look good at all, no, because of how the statements were said, and the whole notion of like, yeah, I want to play the friendlies, but I don't want to play the Gold Cup, and Pochettino was like, no, 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 not like that. And then look, the drama that just started. So they're in trouble. I don't think that, like I said, they built so much ground and then they lost it all of a sudden, no? And I don't know if they're gonna be able to get it back before the World Cup starts.
Thanks for joining us, Naive. Always fun chatting with
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
Mexico, and then luckily Mexico gave us something good to talk about.
No, and look, it's all Morita's fault. If it wasn't for Mora, I don't know if this situation happens. No, because Mora was important with the goal. What was it? The assist to Raúl against Honduras. So look, he was impeccable. He was impeccable, and I don't know. It was it
And
has to be stressed that
Honduras beat the crap out of him.
yeah.
That was a classic CONCACAF. Make sure you have your shin guards on because it could get ugly.
I mean, I'm telling you, I mean, it's very impressive what you said about in a confederation final, he's the youngest ever. I mean, that's just amazing. We witness history in Houston, Texas.
All right. Well, thanks for listening to the pod, everyone. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Naeem, where can the people find you?
Blue Sky, Nayib.Moran, and also in Substack, De Lejitos. I usually post every now and then. I post some stuff there.
I'm a big fan of. I like the one you did on Moran, or not Moran, on Mora.
Morita, Mora. No, no, thank you. Yeah, it had to be done. It's something.
It's
I,
hope.
I
It's
yeah,
interesting, you know.
yeah, no, and look, 10 years ago would have been unthinkable, to think that we have a player of this sort, of this caliber, no, and heck, the who knows where he's gonna land, but I'm pretty sure he's gonna he's
Well,
gonna go somewhere special.
I learned the other day. I don't think it's a secret or anything. He hired a new agent. He
Highland Sage, and
has
really,
he has Holland and Santiago Jimenez as agent. He can't move until 2027 January. He can't
yeah.
leave because of FIFA rules until he turns 18. But he can make a pre-contract and have everything set up to
Well,
leave.
it's like this player from Palmeiras, no, that's Estevao that scored against Chelsea. Now, now he's gonna play for Chelsea. So that was pretty interesting to see, no. So similar, no, that's gonna happen to Mora one day, no.
I mean, I'm sure some team will want to scoop him up for 7 figures before he gets the 10-figure deal, or before he gets an 8-figure deal. Making if Cholos are smart, they let him go. I don't know, 5, 6, $7 million, and have a nice sell-on fee for his next transfer.
Nah.
That makes sense.
No, and search for a damn passport. You never know. Maybe the great grandfather was Spanish or something, and get it sorted. I mean, look, the Cowboys. That's how they're doing it. Okay, Cowboy playing for Chivas is like scoops a grandfather Mexican, and now he's playing for Chivas. No,
That's how Pulisic got to Dortmund when he was 16. He had a Croatian passport.
so we'll see. Maybe the passport comes out.
Ojalá, a ver qué pasa.
Ojalá.